Hi, I'm Vanessa Anderson.
And I'm Stephanie Cooley.
It's time to give ourselves a moment to be real, to express all of motherhood.
Mothering is beautiful. It's wonderful.
And you know what? It's fucked up too.
Come hang out with us. We're the real motherfuckers.
Across our next guest that we have today on iFIT, on my Nordic track bike. And this was during the COVID-19 lockdowns when we were separated from the world, and I ended up finding another world. From the first class I enrolled online to just even this morning and yesterday morning, I've been drawn to the way that this person shares her strength, her courage, and the light that unites us in this world. That seems to be, there's this dividing world. I feel like our guest today brings us together. I was immediately drawn to her class because they gave me soul food, and she also kicked my butt at the same time, all in one. It's like the best two combinations. I would like to start today by reading words directly from our guest. Both things are true. You are the greatest love of your life. We teach each other how to honor us by the way we honor ourselves. What a lifelong, hard-won, fumbling, and healing journey of learning to love our miraculous and messy selves. And we are made for each other, made for the school of love, for learning the art of opening and guarding, independence and interdependence, the wonder, play, and expansiveness of harmony, the sacredness of solitude. Oh my gosh. And then she ends with this. Good news, it's all work. But grown-ups, no, work is where all the juice and joy is. Discovering our wounds, tender compassion for our shame and limiting beliefs, growing courage in our vulnerability, radiating our beauty, especially as it deepens with age, risking our heart. And this, I can go on and on with what Nicole says. I mean, and that's our next guest, Nicole Meline. She is just this inspiring human being that keeps evolving on all areas of her life, and she is sharing it with us, and she is sharing it with us today. So without further ado, I would like to have Nicole Meline onto the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much for such a beautiful introduction. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. So Nicole, can you share with us where this inspiration started manifesting with you and behind becoming, a mentor and the leadership that you play now?
I hadn't really thought about this, but it's sweet that your audience is mostly mothers. And I would say my mom. My mom was just spectacular, is. She's very much with me. She passed 7 years ago, early onset Alzheimer's, which was such an incredible, challenging journey for our whole family to go through. And she navigated that with so much grace and joy. And she really came from, negative nothing. Like, she was the third of 6 kids. Her dad died when she was 3, and she had there were 3 kids younger than her at that point. And she moved at maybe about 30 to California from the heartland, from Indiana, and recreated her life. And it was, in some ways, it's kind of a small thing, but in other ways, she had so much, there were so many reasons why that took such incredible courage and vision and faith. And so she was always, she had this wonderful way, and I'll say this especially to mothers in the audience, of creating a sense of endless possibility without a pressure to fulfill some sort of potential, right? So it was like, sky's the limit. I'll cheer you on with whatever you want to do. If you want to lay on the couch and read, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, I think it's such an art as parents, to create that sense of, yeah, you can do anything. And there's a joy, like all the juice and joy is in the work. It turns out, right? Hustle can be pretty fun.
Yeah.
But, to find a way to do that doesn't pressure our kids, and where there's this sense of almost like, you're not measuring up, you still have so much more to become or whatever. And she really, I think, modeled that beautifully. So that's, in a lot of my work, I know one of your beautiful questions was, how do I kind of balance hustle and flow, which I could talk about forever. And but I think that especially in the coaching work that I do, whether it's with a group like I would do on iFIT, I've created fitness content for Peloton, for iFIT, for various different platforms, and then of course for my own altar. And something that I'm constantly trying to navigate with that is how kind of creating that same vibe that my mom did, where we want to have this endless sense of curiosity, possibility, a belief that our, life's work is to grow into the greatest version of ourselves, but also, wow, who we are right now is beautiful and perfect. And so how do we balance that contentment and gratitude? And I think especially as parents too, like that contentment and gratitude with who our kids are. And hey, let's grow.
Right.
How strong can we get? How creative can we become? Right.
Yeah.
What you said reminds me of a conversation I just had with my sister yesterday. She is a mom of 2 teenage boys who play sports. And she said she's been so mindful about how she talks to them after the game. And when they'll ask it, how do you think I did? And she'll say stuff like, I really enjoy watching you do the thing you love to do. And there's no expectation of like, well, you could have caught that ball better, or you could have ran faster, or whatever. She's just like, I love seeing the process that you have of doing the thing that you love. And I think that resonates with what you say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It totally does.
To really see all of our goals, which I think are so important to have. Like I'm creating this half marathon training program right now. And I'm thinking half marathon and 5K, but I'm thinking like how to invite people into, setting this big goal. And in this case, it's a 3-month journey, but understanding that it's about the journey. Maybe you're going to get to the starting line. Maybe you're not, or maybe you're going to postpone it for a few months, but the point of it and where our focus really can be is on who we become along the way. So who does your kid become along the way of that soccer game or that gymnastics practice or that like homework assignment? Who do they become along the way to teach that kind of equal focus on both the result or, the outcome, which we have to have, like that kind of goal setting. But at the same time, wow, what's really most important is what do we learn through this? Who do we become? How do we show up to the inevitable challenges or injuries or whatever that we're going to have?
Yeah. God, you're okay. Nicole always has a real catchphrases in her series, and I just love the way you use your words. Like I even gave you credit in my yoga class. I said, your dreams are my dreams. And you know how our dreams inspire each other. And when you accomplish your dream, you're really feeding other people's dreams. And damn, that's happening right now, girlfriend. Yeah. Like my dream was to have someone like you on. And when we were saying this, I'm like, I have to ask Nicole. Like it was, so there is a reality to that. There's like this exchange. And you brought that to me where I realized some people think that dreams and goals are this competition. And you brought it to me in such a beautiful way where it's like, it's not a competition. We're all holding each other. And when you can help everyone achieve their dreams and you can achieve yours, it's this beautiful exchange of, their dreams become something that, you can embrace. It's something beautiful that you can enjoy with them. And thank you for bringing that perspective for me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love that. I love getting to know that I'm a little part of that yoga class. And this is another powerful takeaway for moms, for parents, is asking for help is a gift to the person that you are asking for help from. Of course we think like, I don't want to burden anybody, or they don't have time, or they don't have bandwidth. But when we ask for help, we give someone the gift of being able to join us on the journey. And especially I think about this so much, that it's a new thing in human history to be the nuclear family is this new thing in human history, right? Where we're really isolated. And it's really only since airplanes became standard, right? Which is 50, 60 years ago, where it became very accessible for us to live very far from the communities that we grew up in. And so we're now in this new universe, which has all of this wonderful possibility, and we can all see so much more of the world. But so many families, so many parents are on their own, right? So many just humans. We're seeing this epidemic of loneliness. And it's a simple, but I think important thing to say, that when you ask someone to join you in community, whether that's just helping, can you pick up my kids from school today? Or can you watch my kid for an hour while I do this? It's actually, there's a really good chance that that other person needs that medicine as much as you.
I know. I mean,
Yeah.
we had an issue where Vanessa's husband did a night away, scheduled the night away where it was on a school night.
Yeah.
And Vanessa was like, I don't want to ask you, but I'm like, I want to help.
I know. And
You
she
know, like
did.
I guess there's a sense of purpose that we want to fulfill as well. And like understanding that people do want to help more than people think.
Yes, you've definitely helped me with that. Being like, okay to say, I need help. That's such a vulnerable thing to say, even like, I need help. People, it's such a hard phrase for people in our day, in our culture, to say, I'm needing a hand, right now. So that's been really hard. Would you like to ask?
Okay, so let's talk about the fact that you are a 4-time Ironman triathlete with four master's degrees. You have been, you're in New York City for a decade as a riding professor at Columbia and Rutgers, and you were a Peloton founding master instructor. Okay, we were talking about this earlier. How the heck do you balance the hustle and flow of life?
Yeah.
Because now you live in New Mexico, right? So I think
now I'm on the rebound. Now I'm on the flow rebound after all of that hustle. But I'm actually ready for the hustle again. So I moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico, a little north of Santa Fe, like in the country, in the foothills of the mountains here, about 3 years ago. And it's been super wonderfully restoratively quiet.
Yeah.
and right about now it's starting to feel a little too quiet. But so I'm looking around for the next chapter. But so I think that my journey to New York, I grew up in Southern California, which I think has a really lovely blend culturally of hustle and flow, of like ambition and ease. But I grew up in Huntington Beach, so it was beach culture, surfer culture. And it was great to be in New York in this energy of ambition. It's to put it in very kind of overgeneralizing terms, it's like the masculine energy, epicenter of the country. And of course there's an exhausting side of that in all kinds of ways, the pace, but also the kind of expectation of achievement. And, but it was important for me to really be sharpened by that. I think to see people work really hard and one of the things that makes New York is people coming there with a dream, right? And being willing to just put in the sweat and build from ground zero. And that was my story there. And that was the story of so many people that I met and watched, build different businesses and build platforms. And of course, being a part of building Peloton from the ground up was so extraordinary to see what is possible just by ordinary people who believe that putting themselves in a space of opportunity and being willing to show up and sweat, in our case, very literally, that incredible things can be built, right? So, but of course, that culture and that city is unbalanced, I think, in the sense of there's not real developed thinking, especially within corporations, about the way that I like to phrase it. And this is the way that I like to think about building anything, doing anything in my life now, is how to do this at the pace of joy, or at the pace of rest, or at the pace of ease, right? So yes, we can. So I'll just use the half marathon, for example. Yes, you could train and do a half marathon from ground zero probably in 2 months if you were hardcore and, nothing unexpected happened. But with the second question to ask yourself is, how can I do this at the pace of ease, at the pace of joy, at the pace of life's inevitable, unexpected surprises? And so that's naturally going to require margin. That's going to require more time. So I think about, in a lot of the work that I do, the coaching work, okay, all right, we've got this goal. Now, do we have the margins around it that are going to help you to be as rested and energized as you can possibly be? Do we have margins around it that's going to make this feel realistic and sustainable? So that's, I love my brand, my own platform is called Alter. And I was asking myself when the word first came to me, is it alter with an E or alter with an A, right? Like alter with an E is the changes, the shifts that we can intentionally make, the alterations that we can make in our lives. Alter with an A is this sacred space. And I love that it's both. The word rings with both, that the moment that we set our intention upon making some sort of change or improvement or creating something in our lives, that is a sacred journey, and we can engage it in this way that's open to, I mean, the way that I would experience it is as a collaboration with spirit. It's open to, it's a collaboration with magic, right? It's how can I make this a sacred offering, and that makes space for grace, makes space for my own failures and hard-won lessons along the way, and time to reset and margin for rest and all of that.
I think that message is so important, especially because the big theme of today is burnout. I mean, not having that sacred space for yourself while you're trying to achieve your goals. I mean, like I'm so guilty of pushing myself into burnout every time. I get super hyper obsessed of the end goal and screw everything else, you know, and I need to have that practice of, you know, being mindful of taking that pace where I can enjoy my life and rest while I do it.
Yeah, it's like a pie, slices of pie that you have to kind of look at and make sure that you don't have a pie, maybe piece this big, half of it, and then the rest are just those tiny slithers, right? It's like that word balance.
Yeah.
That people are like, well, how do you do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to just, I guess, see your life and see what you need to do to alter that. So I wanted to ask, what themes or topics do you find most fulfilling to explore on the platform that you currently have and the platforms that you share, like the way I was able to find you and get to know you?
I think the two crowning banner themes of my work and my life are possibility and joy. So possibility, we know that feeling when we get this whiff of possibility, this it's like an opening inside of us, right? It's like the window in our imagination is just open, where suddenly I don't know if there's a better feeling, right? It's the beginning of any creative idea. It's the beginning of any fitness or wellness journey. It's the beginning of any relationship journey, right? That sense of possibility. And I think especially for women that, and I work with all humans, but I have kind of tended to draw women to retreats or to coaching or to any of the platforms that I offer. And with women, you know, we have all absorbed this narrative, and it's so exciting, first of all, to see that I do think that it is changing. I think that this upcoming generation has such a vastly greater sense of possibility, and then at least I'll just say the three of us maybe were conditioned into. But I think that as women, we've all absorbed this narrative that we basically have a kind of expiration date, whether that's biologically or professionally and romantically, right? And that comes up, and I think humans in general, there is this kind of like midlife crisis thing that we all have to navigate, let's say from 35 to 50, 60, there's this portal that we go through, and there's a few of them, right? And of course we would experience it if when kids leave the house in empty nesting, or coming to terms with the question of our relationship to being parents, and leaving a job, a relationship ending, a divorce. There's these moments where, especially once you're kind of past 35, 40, that it's so easy to get into a narrative of impossibility, or possibilities have closed down for you or shut down for you in your life, and not even realize that you're there, not even realize like how much that's a story that you're living in, that you're choosing to a certain extent, but we might not be aware of, right? And that it's just this revolutionary truth that we get to choose our stories. We get to choose the story that we're living in. So for every limiting belief that we might have, there's a liberating truth that can counter that. So that's, I think it's the work I love to do, because it's also the work that I'm constantly doing in my own life. And I'm navigating that portal at 44, and this constant sense of, the story of like the best years are behind versus, oh, no. Like the wisest, most creative, most badass years are ahead. But that's work I have to do every day. I have to I have to choose a story that's against, when I open any social media app, or when I stand in the grocery store and I look at what's on the covers of magazines, or what's the average age of a star in a film, right? We see these kind of subtle or not so subtle narratives of what the prime of life looks like, and less of it on the other side, right?
Totally.
And so I love to invite people into a greater sense of possibility and joy. Part of why fitness and movement and meditation has been central to my work and will continue to be is that when we move, movement is the cheapest, most reliable medicine that we've got, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
When we move, we change the chemistry of our body, and we send more oxygen to our brain. We send more blood to our brain. We send more oxygen to our heart. The moment, we could all just do it right now. Deep breath in through the nose and exhale, and just let the shoulders drop, and you feel that spaciousness in your body. And then all of a sudden, I in my body right now, I feel more of a sense of possibility, right? So
I know we just both repositioned our bodies to be like more. Yeah.
So when we're moving, it's not like I've always had my bravest ideas when I'm in a movement practice. If it's on a run, or if it's in a, on a bike, or if it's on a mat, that's where I have my best ideas. And it's no accident, because that's when I'm flooding my body with endorphins. It's when I'm feeling like before I started this chat with you guys, I was doing some kettlebell workouts in my gym, and just like remembering how strong I am, reminding myself of my strength, very literally. So then I come into an interaction in that strength, in that power. So that's part of, I think of the workouts I lead as, okay, I'm going to ask you a bunch of really big, juicy, exciting questions about your life. And by the way, we're going to burn 500 calories and do a bunch of great breath work and get all the cardiovascular benefits of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I experience it with you. I sometimes just do your 30-minute one, and at 5:30 in the morning when I can do it. And I'm just like, damn, that seemed like an hour and a half. And I got like a whole day's worth of knowledge with just maybe 5 phrases or 5 questions you've asked, or even one question you asked that really was like, yeah, thank you I had a bad day yesterday. This is a new day. We're going to start right. You know what I mean? So thanks for giving me that gift as a mom, and just as a woman and as a person, to have that tool, or that sentence, and just your kindness shines through. Your authenticity shines through. And that's the attraction that I think people have to you that are wanting to do that in their own lives. I think it's a really cool message and work that you're doing. And just in the last I don't know how we've been on 20 minutes. It's like, okay, like I can just take that and have it for 5 years. I'm good, Nicole.
I know. Everything you say, I'm like, long pause. I need to process that
I know. She
magical
needs to
thing you just said.
I'm going to put her on my bike and be like, get on with Nicole tomorrow. And you have a bike.
Well, it's funny because Vanessa, after she takes one of your workouts, I'll see her like at drop off at school, and she'll be like, Nicole kicked my ass this morning. And sometimes I forget that it was like on the bike. And I'm like, who did you hang out with at 5 o'clock this morning?
I love that. I'll give both of you a free month to my altar platform.
Oh my gosh.
As a follow-up. Yeah.
I know I want to take some of your classes, like the ones that you host. So been looking at your website. So that's my next.
Oh, I would
portion.
love that.
Yeah.
I lead a program called Energize and an introduction to it called Ignite. It's a 7-day reset called Ignite. But in both of those, a core point of the work that we're doing in those programs is shifting from connecting exercise to these external standards that we've absorbed of, I got to do this because I can't let myself ever gain this amount of weight over, or I'm always just in an endless cycle of trying to lose weight. Or I have to eat this way because of these, especially connected to like a sense of enslavement to calorie amount or macronutrient amount, or this kind of obsessive attention to this stuff. And to shift into viewing movement, first of all, and breath work as our electrical socket that we need to plug into every single day to energize ourselves and to remind ourselves of our strength. I always like to say a strong body dreams bigger.
It does.
And it does, right? And that's why, that is actually a big enough why to bring me back to the mat or the bike or the run on the days that I don't want to do it, which is often half the time. That being said, none of us have ever regretted doing a workout, right? But getting there is often a huge battle and something that we can get into a cycle of putting off. And what I want to invite us into is this, is viewing our motivation very differently of, I want to do this because this is where I remember myself. I knit myself back together. I remember myself. I remember my strength. This is where I regain my energy. This is where I regain my focus. And that's all way more valuable than fitting into some like externally imposed idea of what my body is supposed to look like, right? And similarly with nutrition, that it's about nourishing myself to create my big work in this world, nourishing myself to create my legacy versus, I'm really paying attention to this sort of caloric intake or this sort of macronutrient breakdown or something. Those kind of external standards that we can absorb are usually not big enough whys to keep us on the path, right? And so then we're just in the cycle of feeling like a failure and beating ourselves up by it and feeling that sense of exhaustion at restarting something again. But my invitation, and I know especially to moms that are really kind of conditioned to, in so many ways, put our own needs last and to fall into this martyr complex, right? Where we really have 2 or maybe 3 full-time jobs. We've got whatever job that we've got. And then there's the full-time job of caring for kids. There's the full-time job of caring for other members of the family that we can tend to take on without ever really pausing and asking, is 100% of my time needed for this particular responsibility? Or would it be more important for me to show up at 100%? So good chance. Yeah.
There you go, Nicole. Blowing my mind with your one-liners.
And what are we modeling? What are we modeling to kids or to whoever it is that we lead? Are we modeling that kind of endless martyrdom cycle that so many of our mothers modeled to us because their mothers modeled it to them, right? And so I want to model this understanding of our own value and our finite energy resources as our greatest resource, our highest priority. And kids, nobody that I lead, kids, people, whomever, nobody that we need needs us 100% of the time. They need us at 100% for the time that we're there.
Right.
And really being honest with ourselves about what does that require for me in this season of my life to be at 100%? What kind of sleep does it require? What kind of alone time, reflection time? What kind of time? What are the things that recharge me in my life? And how much time does that actually take and require? And so then this leads us to this other thing that we kind of started the conversation with, which is, well, to do that, we're going to have to ask for help, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
Yeah, which can end up being its own gift and its own wonderful way of embedding us deeper into community rather than kind of trying to carry it all on our own.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
It's asking for help and also saying no too, you know,
Saying
and
no. Yeah.
the beauty of saying no is amazing.
Yeah. And it's pretty cool. Like on weekends, I don't go, I don't work out at 5 a.m. because I usually get on my bike. I take a shower. I get us all ready for our day. I go to work. My kids go to school. That's my window for me. But on the weekends, my kids get to see me. And my son knows I start my bike and he'll bring me my water.
Oh my goodness.
And then my daughter will say, let's close the door so she can have her privacy and her time.
Yeah.
Like it's like a thing. And then, they'll like come in. They're like, who's your teacher today?
Yeah.
And then, so they kind of like know.
That's great
people.
Modeling.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
then and I tell them, this is my half hour. And then the rest of the day we're together. Like, this is my time. And, it's your time to do what you want for that half an hour. Do you want to go outside? Do you feel like drawing? What is it that you're wanting to do right now? Like, we all get to choose our little individual time and then we come together again, So it's like we all bring in an experience. But I love the message that you give around health and wellness and what it is to be a human and not having, this like perfect scale or, measurement or whatever. It's how you feel. And you say this a lot. You say, if you have a body, you're an athlete. And I think that is such a cool thing to say because we think athletes, especially quote unquote our age, are people who are ex-professionals or semi-professionals or, have been on a magazine. Like you have to be this extreme version of what an athlete is. And I think that's such a great message that you give everybody. And then the other thing is, when we say, oh my God, I did this workout, and we've said this since we were in PE, in high school, oh man, I'm dying right now. But really, like what you're saying, no, I'm alive right now. I'm feeling alive right now. It's changing that mindset. And it's been such a great tool for me personally, but also to keep it going and sharing it. And I always quote
you say that in your yoga class.
And I said, this is from I always say, this is from my iFIT trainer. Yeah. This is what she said today.
And you say it at the right time because when you're making us in plank and I'm like, F you, Vanessa, I'm dying. And she's like, remember everyone, this is living. I'm like, good reminder.
It's such a good reminder, and it's true. It's like, I am pushing myself to the limit. My heart is pumping. It's life. And it's such a beautiful way that you put these words into experiences, Nicole, and it goes back and forth. The experiences become your words, and it's just such a gift that you have. And I'm so excited that you are moving forward and sharing this with everybody because it keeps getting shared. You share it for me, and I feel like this is such a gift. I have to share it with others, and it's just keeps getting passed on, and it's that beautiful change that your dream is just launching, to have that beautiful love and perspective. So I just want you to know that from this line, it's being passed on, and I'm giving you due credit. I'm like my iFIT trainer, Nicole Meline, said this today. I'm bringing it to you guys. So, thank you for that.
Thank you. One thing that is helpful for me when I hit those moments, and it's helpful for me to have the motivation to keep choosing them. So those moments in a workout where we're stressing ourselves, we're intentionally stressing ourselves, right? We're getting into a plank, we're doing a high intensity interval. And where I like to go with that is to practice showing up to challenge the way that you want to show up to challenge in your life. So what are those moments of stress in your life right now? And of course, they're changing constantly, day to day, week to week, season to season. It might be a particular relationship that's just this ongoing kind of source of conflict for you. Or another way of thinking about this is, what are the moments in your life right now where you're disappointing yourself in the way that you're showing up? You're falling into, they're usually like trauma patterns that we've been in, or just unhealed parts of us that we're acting out of. And so then when you are in that plank, or you're in that high intensity interval and you feel that discomfort, that resistance, you're like, I want out of this, right? It's this opportunity. in your mind to bring to your mind or bring to your heart that moment in your life where there's friction, it's crunchy, it's tough, it's challenging, and you're kind of failing yourself a lot of the time, failing your highest intentions. In that, how can you bring that into that plank so that the plank is not just a physical challenge, but you're learning, you're finding your breath in it, and you're finding your endurance in it, and you're just training your whole entire nervous system that I can be in this discomfort, just like you can be in the discomfort of the presence of this person that's really hard for you to handle, or this frustrating situation with a kid, or what, name whatever the conflict is. And, here's my breath, because I've practiced finding my breath when I'm in that pressure cooker, right? And here's my steady mindset that's really connected with the highest part of me, because I practiced going there when I was in that high intensity interval. So this is again making that shift of thinking about our workouts as really work-ins, like this opportunity to practice showing up to the challenges that we're facing on a daily basis with this sort of steadiness and breath and also awareness that it'll pass. You're going to come out of that plank and you're going to get into a delicious down dog or a delicious child's pose. You're going to go, you come out of that high intensity interval and come into this recovery period. And that's also helpful for us when we're in those high intensity moments in our lives to remember this is going to pass. Who do I want to be on the other side of this?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And it's funny that I never thought, why do we call it workout? And then I used to always think, because I'm working things out. I am working things out within myself, and that's what I used to tell my kids. And I think my daughter asked me this when she was 4, because she'd get my 3-pound dumbbells and, she'd be with me doing what she can. And she's like, why does it call them working out? And I said, is it because maybe we're working things out within ourselves? We're working on our body, we're working on our heart, we're working on our mind. And so it's cool that, if just being in that and showing the culture of why I do it and sharing it.
That is such a beautiful thing to share with your daughter, generationally sharing this new vision of what exercise is. It's not, like you said, Nicole, just to achieve this external appearance. You're doing it for all of you holistically, for your body and also your soul.
Your soul. It makes you just patient. And I even say that. I said, I feel like a great mommy when I can do this with my body and my breath. I feel more patient. I feel peaceful. And and they notice too. They're like, oh, she didn't
Mama needs her
today.
workout. Let her do it.
You need to go work out so you can work in. I just love that. I mean,
Mom, did you do a workout today? Because I think we can tell.
Yeah. You're giving us. You're not about 25%. You need to be at 100.
Why don't you get on that bike? We'll close the door.
Bike.
Yeah, it's just crazy. No, I think you need to have a bumper sticker or a sticker company. I don't know if you have that for you, but I'd have all your one-liners just today. They're so good. I love them. Trademark that if you can, or put it on your website, because it's such a good reminder. Even if you had it on as in your car and someone read some of the stuff you say, spread the word.
I have a lot. Yeah, thank you. I have a lot of them. I have my Envision planner. I'm taking notes. And this is one little compilation that I've done of it.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, there's a lot of it's divided into 2 parts. The first part are larger vision casting questions for your whole life, but then the majority of the planner are these daily pages that just bring you back to this. You could do a daily page in 3 minutes where it's just asking you, what's your mantra for today? What's your vision? What are the 3 things that you want to create and accomplish, right? But just it's kind of circling back to that question of what does it look like to balance hustle and flow? That's really the vision of the planner, is how do we engage productivity, all the things we have to get done, all the mom responsibilities from this heartful place, from this, grounded place of true mission and legacy.
Gosh. Yeah. I love where these messages are coming from. It's just amazing. So how do you stay motivated and inspired? Because, all of us feed each other, right? So it's how do you stay motivated and inspired to constantly produce and engage these loving lessons and messages that you're giving to all of us and to yourself? There's always an energy source somewhere or a person? What is it for you?
That's good. I think it is an energy source. I think I do feel like my hope, and when anyone that I'm working with, my ultimate goal is to connect them to spirit, however it is that they experience that, to connect them with their hearts, to connect them with their highest self, to connect them with their highest power. In our moments of greatest creativity, I mean, I think a lot of moms would say this, even like the process of giving birth, there's this sense of collaboration with something beyond yourself, right? Mm-hmm. There's this sense of collaborating with a kind of life force. And that's what I always want. That's the place I always want to get to and create from, and kind of get my ego out of the way enough to be able to do that. But we're in just astonishing times right now. And I'm sure that all of our grandparents and great grandparents, I'm sure that every generation would maybe say that, right? But that being said, we look at where the world is right now, and our capability, like our nuclear capability, which of course didn't exist 100 years ago and before that. We're in this incredibly high stakes moment that I feel like it's important to say is exhausting. It's exhausting to our nervous systems. Mm-hmm. It's exhausting to engage it at the level that it demands. It's kind of important to say that at a certain level, it's maybe not possible to do that as human beings, like to really look at the heartbreaking situations in so much of our world and the political instability and the sense of divisiveness that we've experienced just in our own country. It's, first of all, important to say it is normal and human to experience all of that as exhausting and too much.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And we all at some level have to just simply do what we need to do to care for ourselves and care for our nervous systems, and in this what I truly do believe is an extraordinary time. Mm-hmm. And it's also very normal and human to be pulled into a kind of depression or paralysis of just, this is so overwhelming. How can I possibly make a difference? And so all of that is important to say and acknowledge. And the medicine is in creation. The medicine is in creativity. The medicine is in community. Mm-hmm. So sure, it's normal to feel, I think, kind of paralyzed by these times, but we're going to find our joy and we're going to find solutions by working together and creating and inspiring each other. And we live, alongside of all of the kind of scary possibilities of where we're at right now is the wonder of the internet, the wonder that you and I are, talking in this way that we are right now, and we're going to broadcast this in all the places that we're going to broadcast it. And so we have the capability to create and connect on a scale that is unprecedented in all of human history. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I want to live. I want to live in possibility. I want to live out of a sense of responsibility to my time. When I think about, generations to come, I do want to feel like I responded to this moment. I offered hope. I offered inspiration. I offered wisdom. I offered movement and the medicine of movement, right? At this moment. So it's, and that in doing that, it's also giving me the medicine, right, that I need. It's knowing that I'm offering what I can. So I think that, I guess I would say that whatever little rustlings that you have in your heart of what the world needs right now, the world needs that right now.
Yeah.
And offer it, start to offer it at the pace of your own rest and joy, right? What does it look like to build that dream that you have in your heart that I think all of us have in our heart? All of us have many. And it turns out that our dreams are exactly what the world needs. Mm-hmm. So those, and our dreams are usually at our edge of fear also. That's kind of also how you know that it's your unique work to do, is if it scares you to death.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So I think that to rise to the occasion of these times, to create in rebellious, surprising hope is how I want to be living. I think when we think about the great artists of all time, it's whether it's some kind of guerrilla street art, right? Or some kind of extraordinary, like Michelangelo's ceiling that was paid for by, you know, all these like official patrons. It's an over the top celebration of beauty and possibility that any art gives us. And we all have that capability in our lives, whether it's like sticking a little dried flower and a note in your kid's lunchbox, that counts, right? Or just smiling at the person and asking how the person who's checking you out at the grocery store is doing that day. Those little unexpected acts of hope and creativity, like you're creating connection, you're creating that little bit of magic, that interruption in our default mode that all art and creativity is at some level. That's where that is where our hope is. It's this reminder of all of those kinds of actions remind us that we are more alike than we are different. You know, when you see, I love seeing, there was some beautiful moment along one of the walls in Israel, Palestine, where this artist had hollowed out a hole in the wall and put in seesaws, you know, so kids could jump on and ride seesaw with each other.
Yeah.
It's those kinds of acts that remind us, okay, even though the moment feels impossible right now, there is a way through. And that way through is through connection and creativity.
Yes, absolutely. I think kindness and love, even when it's uncomfortable, that's when it shines, right? Like when there's this moment of discomfort where you're like, this person's in kind of making me feel uncomfortable the way they're acting, but I'm still going to show them my love. It's like, that's when you see that magic, that power. And I feel like these hard times, it's like you said, we're holding a plank right now in our time and in our history. And it's like, okay, what are we going to do with that plank? Are we going to breathe through it? And, you know, like you said, get through it and find the creativity through that plank. You know, we have choices to make. And, I really do feel like there's more people feeling the way we are right now, knowing that you can have different opinions, you can have different views, but we can still like each other. You know, there's more of us out there than we
Respect
think.
each other.
And respect each other. I think there's so many more of us out there. I know I've just listened to another podcast and everyone thinks, oh, you know, Canada, everyone's on board with stuff that happens. And they're like, no, they're not. You know, we think that certain politics, we have a different perspective of how it's given to us, but it's like, no, actually, we're all feeling the same way. We're feeling vulnerable. We're feeling a little unsettled, but we want to come together, and we're learning how to do that again because we were literally pulled apart, and now we're learning how we can fit in together with what we think is right and what we think is wrong. And it starts with this, right? Conversations, love, and connection, and saying, you know, if you feel that way, you have the right to feel that way. You know, how are you healing from that? Or how can I help you with that? Even if it's not exactly how your heart is feeling, it's meeting somebody. So I think I love the way you put that. And I love the way, I didn't even know about the seesaw. That made my heart just shine.
I didn't either. That put such a strong emotional visual for me. I mean, art evokes emotion. And that's what, you know, when I get asked, what is art? I'm like, it's something that pulls some sort of emotion from you.
A connection. Connection. My gosh. Well, I am just so pleased that you've been on this podcast with us today. And I could be with you all day. And I'm going to definitely get your journal. And yeah, I'll be I'll be doing some sessions with you from your website. But
I would love that.
Yes. We're getting ready to wrap it up with our 1 minute little last minute questions that we have. And the first one is, what's your baggage? This refers to emotional, mental, or physical baggage, or something that you work on that's hurt you or burdened you. And what are you working with? What do you work with? And what right now, what's your baggage?
Yeah, you guys don't mess around with these questions. I thought,
no. Did we
you,
lose Nicole again?
oh, I want to make sure I'm still here.
No. Okay, go.
Okay, good. You sent me the questions ahead of time, so I was able to look at these, and I thought, okay, am I going to go shallow or am I going to go for it? And I'm going to go for it. So,
Go for it.
yeah, I think that I want to think of baggage as my ongoing work, like my present work, right? That I'm my kind of current place of healing, my current place of choosing liberating truths over limiting beliefs. And for me, I think that that's definitely in the realm of romance right now. And really holding space for the extraordinary, holding space for an extraordinary relationship, and also, and doing that dance of acknowledging and allowing for my humanness, each other's humanness, and at the same time, like holding belief and hope and space for an extraordinary partnership. I think that that's my live work at the moment. Yeah.
Well, you have a high vibration, honey. So someone's got to be working on their high vibration to meet yours. So whoever's out, whoever's going to be part of you is definitely worth the wait. And he or she or whatever, your partner is going to, they're working on their little energy, That's just, I truly believe in that.
I appreciate that vulnerability. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Can you tell us what or who inspires you?
Who inspires me most is a woman who is choosing to age into her power. And I think of the example of this I'm maybe most grateful for is Clarissa Pinkola Estes. If you have not read her classic Women Who Run with the Wolves, go run and get it immediately. She has also a series of audiobooks on Audible and probably other places that's called, you ready for it? The Dangerous Old Woman.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Every time I share that title with a woman, they're like, oh, whoa, that's an option. And the titles within it are like Becoming an Elder, The Power of the Crone, and other amazing titles. And she's this amazing, witchy storyteller, healer. She weaves together all of these ancient myths into kind of modern truths. And she's this extraordinary example of what it can look like to age into your voice, to age into your power, to age into your wisdom. And like we were talking about earlier, I think that our world is just in such desperate need of that as a counter narrative to what women have received over time. And so whenever I see that, like, even if I intentionally follow a number of women on Instagram who have gotten into the best shape of their lives, like over 70, right? So starting to lift weights at 70 and get ripped and get so vibrant. And it just reminds me of this, incredible sense of possibility and what's to come.
Absolutely. So let's see. What did you fuck up recently? And what did you learn about it?
Yeah. This would also be in the realm of romance. And so we know Maya Angelou's great line, don't fall in love with potential. And that's definitely something that I am really, it's part of my live work right now is to not, so a way in which I have effed up recently is, I think and this could be true in any kind of relationship, not just romance, but believing the story that you want to be true about someone versus the actions, right, that are there. And so I think navigating what that looks like to, again, kind of like hold a high standard, believe actions, and at the same time allow for humanness and grace, and like what that dance looks like is such a tough one to navigate, I think, in all of our relationships, for sure.
Gosh.
Right.
Yeah.
Poet, you, Nicole Meline. Well, man, you're just a fantastic human being, and you're very inspiring. And I just thank you for the work that you're doing, and that you knew that's your calling, and that you're giving us that gift. I just want to thank you for that. And the last thing I'm going to say before I'd like you to say some words is just anything you want to say after me. But I love that you say this. It says, "Love yourself for the miracle you are." And I don't know if we just end with that, or if you have some other words, Nicole, but that your tongue is like gold. So just go.
I'll riff on that for 1 second. I think that we can, and especially as women, we can really dwell in a negative narrative around our bodies, around all that we can't do, around our limitations, like we talked about earlier, that closure of possibility. And when I pause and just simply remember, and this is just a favorite meditation of mine, to take like a minute or two and just breathe and let myself remember all the things my body has carried me through. Think about the numbers of times that you've healed, all the times you've gotten sick and you've healed every single time, all the injuries that you've gotten through and you've healed. And your body is a miracle. It's a miracle. And to remember, from that perspective, think about the pleasures that your body allows you to feel, taste, pleasures of all of your senses, hearing. I mean, when you just start to dwell on this amazing portal to the world that we get to live in. Wow. Right?
I know.
And it's just mind blowing. And to live in that to live in the miraculousness as well as in the mess, right? I want to take a moment. I have a new offering called the Ignite 7-Day Reset, which I just actually put the finishing touches on last week. So it's fun to talk about it. And if you're feeling like you just need a recharge of your energy, you want to rethink your relationship to nutrition, to movement, to all these things that we've been talking about today. You want to maybe experiment with a meditation practice if that's not something that you have, or you want to deepen in it. My goal with this reset, with this program, was that you could do all of it in under an hour a day and really see, at the end of 7 days, a real shift in your whole being, your whole energy level in particular. So that's at NicoleMeline.com. You can find it on my programs page. And I also would love to invite anybody into a free trial of my Alter Together membership, which is all of these practices, movement practices, cycling, treadmill hikes, all kinds of different soulful workouts and meditations for you.
That's awesome. We'll link them all in our description too.
Yes. And I was going to you went right into where I was going to go next. So thank you for offering. And we'll lead them on that. And you're also wonderful to follow on Instagram. You're one of the pleasant posts that, are out there. So if you want something, if you do like Instagram and like to follow, Nicole is the person to definitely follow. So Nicole, thank you so much. Can't wait to sweat with you tomorrow morning. And I just really, with my whole heart, appreciate that you said yes to us.
Oh, my pleasure. Truly. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you
so much. If you'd like to keep up with the latest, see more shenanigans, or just connect with us, go to Instagram, where you'll find us at Real Motherfuckers Podcast.
And also, if you'd like to see some real juicy mama boobs, you can see it in action on YouTube, also at Real Motherfuckers Podcast.
And enough with the free Costco samples.
You can start paying up. Actually, you can also just support us monetarily on Patreon, where you'll get some more cool exclusive content. And you can find us there at
Real Motherfuckers Podcast.
We fuck up on this show.
Yeah.
Nothing's perfect.
Hence the name.